Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, at the outset, I would like to extend a warm welcome to the ministers attending this meeting and to all the participants. Your presence here today is testimony to the commitment of African states to play an active part in international efforts to combat the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. I would like to thank the United States of America for its commitment to working closely with African countries to make this important meeting a success. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, our meeting is the first of the Proliferation Security Initiative with such a high level of participation in terms of both rank and number. This PSI meeting in Marrakesh is motivated by the strong commitment of African states to participate in global efforts against the proliferation of WMDs. It is also dictated by profound changes in the African security context. In my opinion, four major trends will indeed shape the future of security on the African continent and consequently our collective response to these challenges. First, the increase in trade between Africa and the rest of the world and the establishment of the African Free Trade Zone will have an impact on seaborne security threats. Although Africa accounts only for 2.7% of world trade, it accounts for 7% of world maritime trade and has a coastline 30,000 kilometers long. This makes the African coastline the main source of vulnerability to proliferation-related threats. Second, there is strong evidence of enduring alliances between terrorist and separatist groups and transnational criminal organizations in our continent. Third, the lack of regional and sub-regional cooperation continues to affect the continent's ability to deal with transnational security threats in the absence of genuine political will to change these states of affairs. Fourthly, external actors continue to disrupt the continent's security environment by disseminating low-cost and more devastating technologies and know-how to their proxies. These conditions are conducive to the proliferation of WMDs in the context of porous borders, coordination gaps, weak legal and regulatory framework, and shortfalls in national capabilities. Yet, for too long, we have dismissed these facts as far-fetched theories, ignoring the need to update our analytical framework and guidelines for action on the continent to bring them into line with global strategies in this area. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in line with the high vision of His Majesty King Mohammed VI, Morocco has always defended multilateral cooperation as the most appropriate framework for coordinating international efforts to combat the proliferation of WMDs. The Kingdom's strong commitment in this area has led to its accession to almost all international conventions on disarmament and non-proliferation. Morocco has further provided constant support for international initiatives in this field. The main asset of the PSI is its flexible, operational, and results-oriented nature. Morocco's experience has demonstrated the relevance of the initiative in terms of interministerial coordination to meet the challenge of non-proliferation. With this in mind, the Kingdom believes that the Marrakesh meeting is an excellent opportunity to strengthen the ownership of the PSI by the African states through the implementation of the following 3 priority actions. First, to recognize that the African security environment is not isolated from the global security context. Second, to strengthen synergies and complementarities with national efforts by organizing more workshops and operational exercises led by African military and civilian experts. Third, to ensure that the voice of African states is heard within the PSI by identifying and sharing African lessons learned, best practices in the fora proposed by the initiatives. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Africa's growing presence within the PSI is an encouraging trend. We must now build on this momentum to make the PSI a genuine platform for action by and for African states. Morocco intends to continue its fruitful partnership with the United States of America and African countries to make the PSI an essential part of the African security landscape. I thank you for your attention.